It absolutely astounds me how many people would sacrifice their personal liberties in the name of being safe. Like, how far does it have to go, the government invasiveness, before you finally say, alright, enough is enough? Do they have to, like, literally molest you every time you want to go on a plane? Oh, wait a second. But Yifei, you can also choose to have strangers look at your naked body in search of dangerous items. Great, that's much fucking better. My point is, there are some things that are inherently personal to a person that should not be revealed or collected by the government. But if you're doing nothing wrong, then you wouldn't have to care about what the government looks at you do or not. Oh really? So you wouldn't be against the government recording all the drunken phone calls you made to your ex, all the dick pics you sent, all the times you had explosive diarrhea and didn't quite make it to the toilet on time? Okay, suit yourself, buddy. The question is, what must we sacrifice for security? Individual rights must still exist. The government should not be allowed to detain people indefinitely without a trial, monitor people's emails and phone calls without a warrant. Most of these anti-terrorism acts like the Patriot Act or Bill C-51 are just simply fear-mongering overreactions. Hey Americans, remember the Patriot Act? The act that you hurriedly passed after 9/11 without even reading? These bills are intentionally vague and give the government a scary amount of possible power. For example, look at what they say about terrorist propaganda. A judge who is satisfied by information on oath that there are reasonable grounds to believe that any publication, copies of which are kept for sale or distribution in premises within the court's jurisdiction is terrorist propaganda, may issue a warrant authorizing seizure of the copies. Terrorist propaganda means any writing, sign, visible representation, or audio recording that advocates or promotes the commission of terrorism offenses in general. One of the definitions of terrorism in this act says, interference with critical infrastructure. Now what the fuck does that have to do with terrorism? This is so freaking vague. This can be used to target environmentalists who dislike oil pipelines. One of the reasons that a peace officer can arrest someone without a warrant is that they suspect on reasonable grounds that the detention of the person in custody is likely to prevent a terrorist activity. Note the word likely. The truth of the matter is the powers that C-51 would grant to organizations like CSIS would turn them into a secret police, a Canadian Gestapo. The fact is, reassuring sounding bills that are passed during times of fear never do anything good. Like the good old War Measures Act, passed during the beginning of the First World War. It allowed for the internment of Ukrainian people, Japanese people, or during the 1970s when it was enacted to arrest hundreds of people without a warrant by old Daddy Trudeau himself. These acts infringes on the civil liberties guaranteed by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We should not treat every person who boards a plane like a potential terrorist, because that's exactly what the terrorists are aiming for, our freedom and our liberties. They want to create and spread fear that would lead to overreactions. Instead of giving in, we must fight against that. After all, it was Benjamin Franklin who said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety." We must not live in a state of constant fear. We must not live in an Orwellian society. We must rise up against it. And more importantly, we must realize how our liberties are infringed upon. We cannot be blind sheep who don't give a damn. We cannot continue to remain oblivious to the information that is already out there. You've got to speak up for your liberties. For example, if you live in the United States, June 1st is the day that the Section 215 of the Patriot Act is due to expire. And that's the thing that allows the NSA to have bulk collection of everybody's data. Don't sacrifice your liberties for security, because you know who else is secure? People who spend their entire lives living in their mother's basement because it's scary to go out into the real world. You might get hit by a car, that's not secure. Well, I'd rather risk the chance of getting hit by a car than live the rest of my life in my mother's basement, okay?